Hey aviators and YouTubers, welcome to my channel, More Right Rudder. The purpose of my channel is I just want to take you along on my journey while I get my private pilot's license and I go beyond, working to try to get my commercial license. Someday I think I might want to try to learn how to fly jets. That's kind of been one of my ultimate goals and one of my dreams as a child, to learn how to fly jets. Not really looking for the airlines like, your traditional Southwest or Delta Airlines or something like that, but just, maybe something like a net jets, like more so private jets for people and things like that. Just like I said, still maybe somewhat of a dream, but something that I've thought about trying to get into. But for now, still trying to work on my private pilot's license, which that is, one of the main reasons that I wanted to learn how to fly. When people ask me, so why do you want to learn? Why do you want to learn how to fly? I've always dreamed of flying as a kid. It kind of started with helicopters, moved from helicopters to, your fixed wings. With helicopters, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of saw how much work you have to do with, not only do you have a yoke, but then also your rudder and your collector that you have to control and things like that. So it's a little bit more work, and maybe I might plan to get my helicopters later, license later, but for right now I'm really focused on, getting my fixed wing license. Just to tell you a little bit about myself, full-time work, so I'm doing this on the side. It's not like going to school and just in the process of only getting my license and things like that. So work full-time job, usually during the daytime because I work afternoons to evenings, trying to squeeze all my lessons in and still take care of my son and move along through life while I try to get my license. So my journey has kind of been a rough one. So I started trying to get my license back in August of 2020, close to around, when the pandemic hit. So, that was already hard for a lot of folks and kind of hit the aviation industry a little bit hard with professional pilots, and kind of made a boom with general aviation pilots, as far as CFI, certified flight instructors, picking up a ton more students, or, professional pilots, coming back to general aviation and teaching people. So like I said, I started my journey in August of 2020. Started with a flight school on one of the campuses here in Columbus, Ohio. So I was going through that, first started, kind of kept getting bounced around from instructor to instructor. I went through 4 different instructors there at that flight school, which if anybody knows, consistency is key when it comes to learning how to fly. If you're not very consistent, then, retaining that information and retaining those skills becomes a little bit harder. So like I said, I was bounced around between 4 or 5 different instructors, had issues securing a plane for lessons. So in between planes being down for maintenance or planes being blocked up from other students, renting, or because it was also a flight club from other people renting the planes for the flight club, it was just hard to get a plane. Several times that I would go about, I would secure the plane through, online, as far as signing up for the plane that I was going to fly, just to wake up in the morning to let me know that my flight lesson was canceled due to the plane having to go into maintenance. So, I spent a good 3 months within that process. So there was several weeks that I didn't get the chance to fly. So, like I said, consistency is key when it comes to learning how to fly. And I just wasn't having a lot of consistency. So from that, I decided to look into researching about getting my own plane, which I know is crazy I did at first. So I'm looking at all kind of different planes. I started learning how to fly in the Cessna 172, which those you see or know is the high wings. So started in a Cessna 172. So I'm looking all over, Cessna 172s. Now at this time, prices were starting to rise at that point. So when I started looking, you're looking at probably about 80, 90,000 for a decent Cessna 172. So I went out, looked at a couple, I got pre-buys done on a couple. Glad I didn't buy those that I wound up having to do the pre-buys on, inspections, because just, they had their issues. And so I was getting a pre-buy done on a plane that I was looking at in Wisconsin one day. And so the mechanic, he was like, have you ever thought about a Piper? And so I was like, no, never heard of the Piper. I've just only flown 172s. He said, you probably want to do some research on Pipers. They're going to be a little bit less expensive and probably easier to come by. So that got me to thinking. So I came back home after that, was able to go to a different flight school that had a couple Piper Cherokees. So I was able to do a flight in a Piper Cherokee 180. So got in the plane, got with an instructor. We go up a couple times around a pattern, flying around for a little bit. Loved it. Loved it more than I did the Cessna 172. Get back, land. So the instructor that I found that was over there, I said, hey, if I find a plane, would you be able to help me bring this back? He was like, sure, just let me know whenever you find a plane. So now I get back on the search. So where does my search lead me to? Kansas. So I make it all the way to basically Olathe, Kansas, where I met my guy, Ali. And he had a Piper Cherokee 140 that had the 160 upgrade in it. The motor had just been overhauled probably about 2 years before. So it had low hours on it. So had basic avionics in it to get me through if I wanted to get IFR certified in it. With a couple changes, change out a few things here and there. I can make it IFR certified, but work out the deal, bought a plane. Now your question is, how did you buy a plane? So one thing that I found out, which is the Piper Cherokees, although they were less expensive, doesn't mean it is less of a competitor. So like where I was finding Cessna 172s for about 80, 90,000, I was finding Piper Cherokees for about 30, 40,000, 50,000, on the high end. So when you look at it, aviation loans are a lot different than, just say if you was to have to go buy a car. So what an aviation loan is, you have usually 20 years to pay on an aviation loan. So if you take $30,000, $40,000 over the course of 20 years, yes, you pay a lot of interest if you can't just pay for the plane outright, but you get a chance to, make the payments, do what you want with the plane if possible, sell it, and, and go from there. So, it was a relatively cheaper move going with the Piper Cherokee, and I absolutely love the plane. Flying the plane all the way back from Kansas, from Olathe, Kansas, basically, back to Columbus, Ohio. So I get the plane back to Columbus, Ohio. At that time, I was based out of Madison County, which was KUYF, Madison County Airport. So I get the plane there. Finally get everything secured. I had a hangar there. Everything was great. So now I called all the instructors that I had from my previous flight school and asked could they help me out. I got every excuse in the book. Well, that's too far for me to drive, which was about a 45-minute drive. I'll give them that, from Columbus to Madison County to where my airplane was stored. Well, that's too far for me to drive. I don't think I can take you on as a student anymore. If you can't find anybody, maybe give me a call. So still searching for other people that was at least closer, other flight instructors that were closer to Madison County. I was still having a hard time. So then I called all those guys back, even the guy who helped me to ferry the plane back here to Columbus, Ohio, couldn't help me either. So, with that, there was a lot of issues. I was just like, so finally wound up finding an instructor. So he was based out of Grimes Airfield, but he wouldn't mind driving from over there to my airport, which is probably about 15, 20-minute drive for him. So going through lessons with him. Now about this time is winter setting in. This is the winter of 2020. And so if anybody knows about the weather here in Ohio, the snow can get treacherous at times. So, between snows and bad weather and things like that, I decided I'll go ahead and get some things taken care of on my plane that I needed to get taken care of. So I didn't have a mechanic, but he knew of a few mechanics. So I wound up going to one of his mechanics that he had suggested that was located at Grimes Field. Good and the bad. They wound up having the plane for 3 months and barely fixed anything. So this takes us into the beginning of 2021. So devastated that, I'm not being able to get any lessons in for 3 months. And then on top of that, they really didn't fix the things that needed to be fixed. So I get the plane back, still airworthy. So no issues with, any airworthiness issues. get the plane back and go for a couple lessons. Then my instructor is getting ready to do some ATP training. So I was going to be down for that while. So, I mean, I figure why not find another mechanic to fix the issues that I originally had while also fixing whatever new issues that I had. So I found my mechanic, who's currently based out of Fairfield County Airport, KLHQ, had him take a look at the plane, was able to fix everything that they didn't fix, plus the things that, you know, needed to be fixed. Like I said, everything was still airworthy, but did it within a week. Way better than, you know, trying to get all that done in 3 months. So get the plane fixed, get it back over to Madison County Airport. Now I'm just waiting for my instructor again to finish with some of his ATP schooling. So finally that gets done. Now we get close to the end of spring, beginning of summer 2021. So he gets back, we start going through lessons again, picking up kind of where we left off. Rusty, yes, way rusty I was, but I was able to still retain a lot of the information with chair flying, and with a little bit of simulator work, doing some of that, I was able to still retain some of the skill. So wound up get through my first solo. Was able to solo 3 takeoffs and landing by myself. Great moment. So get to the point to where after I solo, he signs off being able to do pattern work at Madison County Airport. Then we also work on some solo flights between my airport, Madison County, and his airport at Grimes Field. Then I get signed off to be able to fly between those two. So now I'm getting out here, practicing some pattern work on my own, practicing pass, going back and forth. Now this takes us too close towards the end of the summer in 2021. So end of the summer 2021, getting ready to begin the fall, getting closer, getting a lot of things knocked out on the requirements for my private pilot's license. And it winds up that my instructor at the time, he had a family member that got ill. So the family member eventually passed away, in which after that moment, I never heard from him again. I just kind of stopped answering calls, stopped calling me, and just, I mean, I truly do understand the loss. You know, now I'm starting all the way back from square one. And also at this time, I get a call to where Bolton Field, to where I'm now, that's where I'm based out of now, Bolton Field, KTZR. They get a call, let me know, hey, we have a hangar available for you. And it was cheaper than what I was paying at Madison County. So now I'm like, okay, well now I gotta get the plane over here. How do I get the plane over here? I don't have my instructor anymore. I don't have a instructor. Just now, again, at a loss. And then I had to find a way to do this before Madison County Airport was getting ready to do some renovations on the runway. So they were gonna shut the runway down for 30 days. So now I'm trying to hustle to hurry up and find somebody to help me ferry the plane from Madison County over to Bolton Field. And, you know, just by luck, through my, you know, job, I met a couple people who also are pilots. They weren't able to be CFIs for me, but were able to move my plane. So I finally get my plane moved over to Bolton Field, good and bad. Cheaper hangar, closer to me because I'm in Columbus. But now I no longer have my solo endorsement because I'm at a new airport. So now I'm starting all the way back over kind of again. So now this puts me at the kind of like the middle of fall of 2021. So I'm on the hunt again, searching through all online accounts, going through, looking at message boards, looking at, you know, going through airports, talking to pilots, talking to mechanics at Bolton Field, because it's a larger field with more people on there. So, you know, trying to see what I can find out about trying to secure another CFI, and possibly if there's any mechanics on Bolton Field. No luck for about, I say, a good 2 months. So now we're looking at the beginning of winter, so probably around December of 2021. So I finally found someone respond back to one of my messages, which you'll see him in some of my videos, which is Andrew. So Andrew responds back, hey, I can help you out. Let's meet up. Let's talk about some things. Bring all these things so I can look at your plane, see the things that you've done so far, and then we can go from there. So me and Andrew, we meet up. I show him all the things, the logs for my plane, my logbook, my written test, because I decided to take the written test at the end of last year, around the end of 2021, which was somewhere around December. It was, I think, November, December, because you once you take your written test and you pass, you have 2 years to take your oral and practical test to become a pilot. If you don't take it within that 2 years, then you're looking at having to take the written test all over again. So, you know, I'm on the clock till 2023. So show him my written test score, which my written test score, I got a 93%. So, you know, I was retaining the information as far as, you know, the knowledge skills and portion of it. So we get to training, getting in the skies when we can, of course, with knowing Ohio again. Now we're in the winter months. So, you know, winter flying is winter flying, trying to get it in when you can, which leads us to January, February, and, you know, now as I make this is the end of February. As far as this video, still going along. So, you know, right now I'm currently sitting at about 76, 77 hours with over 210 takeoffs and landings. So still in the process. Knocked out one of my cross-country solo, getting ready to knock out one of my long cross-country solos. So, you know, I'm keeping the movement going on, trying to make sure that I keep focused and keep on just, you know, the ultimate goal to get my private pilot's license, because that is one of my hugest goals. And then, you know, of course, next start working on my instrument rating, because, you know, take my son flying with me, or, you know, just, you know, you get up, the weather's perfect, just like, I'm going to fly to such and such, and just get up and go. I mean, there's no feeling like it greater in the world. So that's truly what I'm looking forward to. So I can't wait for that to happen. With that, you know, in my journey, I plan on showing you everything. All my triumphs from my first solo to my re-solo to showing you like all my mistakes. So, I mean, it's been an amazing journey so far. So, I mean, if you're most definitely liking what you're hearing so far, please subscribe, hit that bell for the notification, like, tell your friends, share. Anybody who has aviation dreams or goals to check my channel out and support. So with that, you know, let's like some of the top questions that I get asked all the time, like, how much does it cost to buy a plane? Which, you know, I talked about. Depending, like now, the market is just like, you know, inflation has just increased the price on planes. Like those $80,000 Cessna 172s now are $100,000 to $120,000 172s. Those $40,000, $50,000 Piper Cherokees are now $60,000, $70,000 Piper Cherokees. So to get into the market right now to buy a plane is kind of tough. And, you know, a lot of people are taking advantage of the inflated prices. So finding a good deal on a plane without looking, you're going to be hard pressed. So you're going to have to really do your research and be very patient in this market right now to really get a good plane for a decent price right now. Another question is, how much does it cost to get your license? So, you know, that's another tricky question, because like for me, my journey has been spread out so far, you know, over time so far. It's probably cost me a lot more because of having to go through lessons and then the lessons stop and then having to pick up with a different instructor. So it's kind of like starting all the way over, because now I'm getting to know this instructor and he's getting to know me and understanding my skills. And, you know, that takes time to build rapport with someone like that, because like I said, you're just meeting each other and, you know, it's a whole new experience now. So, you know, I would budget anywhere between, you know, $7,500 to $12,000, and that's to be safe, because, you know, for me, when I started very first renting a plane and, you know, paying for instructor time, I was looking at $130 to rent the plane wet, which you have wet and dry rates. Wet means you're renting it and they'll put fuel in it, and then dry rates is, you know, you rent it and then you have to put fuel in it. But, you know, I was renting the planes for $130 wet, and then, you know, for the CFI, I was paying another $50 to $60, and that's an hour. So, you know, you figure out lessons run about 2 hours, and, you know, if you have any ground schooling in the mix with that, you know, pre-flight briefing, post-flight briefings, and things like that, you can pretty much plan on 2 hours. You're looking at those rental costs, and then just say if you go the other way, like, you know, I've been doing now, you're looking at, you know, buying a plane, you know, hangar, insurance, and things like that. So if that's something that you know is your dream, most definitely go for. If you can own a plane, I say own a plane to get your private pilot license in, because it's going to be your plane and you know how everything's going to operate, and you don't have to worry about, you know, someone else using it and things like that. One thing that I can't stress enough would be to make sure you get your medical done before you seriously get into this, because I've seen it too many times where people talk about they've been flying for about 20 hours and then they go to the AME, which is the medical examiner, aviation medical examiner, and they aren't able to pass the examination to get their medical certificate. And so now their dreams come to a halt, and then they've spent this money and dedicated this time to, you know, trying to get their license, and then they can't.
Emotional, damn it!
So that would be one of my biggest things to do first, is to make sure you can get your medical certificate. And then, you know, of course I get asked, do you like the Cessna 172s, the high wings, or do you like the low wing Pipers more? You know, like I said, I started with Cessna 172, so, and which it very likable plane. I truly did. I mean, they provide shade in the summer, most definitely, and a place to stand under if it's raining outside. But you know, I just seem to like the low wing Pipers more because it's looks like most of your planes when you're going to fly, like if you fly a jet, your wings are going to be lower. Or, you know, flying your multi-engine planes, the wings are going to be low wings. And then the fact of not having to climb a ladder to put gas in it. So, you know, those are the things that I looked at when I got my plane. And then also, yes, it does suck to where, you know, the high wings have 2 doors opposed to the low wings. Certain low wings do have 2 doors, but you know, the Pipers, like I fly, it only has 1 door. So getting in and out of that 1 door, it does suck at times, but you know, it's what I do. And then another question I get asked is, isn't flying scary? You know, at first it is scary. And then, you know, to tell a story about, you know, the very first flight I took when I was with the very first flight instructor. So he tells me how to do a takeoff, and he's like, okay, well, I'm going to let you do the takeoff. So I'm like, in my mind, I'm just hype. I'm loving every minute of it. So get on the runway. He's like, okay, you got to hurry up and go. They're waiting for you to go. Because this was at a towered airport. This wasn't at a pilot controlled field that didn't have a tower. So push in throttle, you know, make sure it's right. Push in the throttle. Basically doing the happy feet, they say, with the rudders to stay on center line while you're going down the runway. And then it reaches rotation speed. And I start pulling back on the yoke. So now we start going in there. So now while I'm pulling back, he's like, keep pulling back. So now I'm just pulling back and pulling back and pulling back and pulling back. So now to where it seems like a normal takeoff went into, I'm looking straight at the sky. And I look over to the instructor. And unfortunately, you know, at the time he was texting on his phone. So now I'm kind of getting worried. I'm like, I know this isn't supposed to do this. So I'm looking at, you know, the sky. I look at him, he's texting, and then I was like, is this supposed to do this? He's like, oh, no. Push back forward, push the nose back forward, push the yoke forward. Put the nose on the horizon. So I put the nose on the horizon, and then we keep climbing, and things were a lot better after that until we got to steep turns. And of course, steep turns were, you know, a little bit of a wake up with the G-force you feel, you know, if you're going losing altitude in a steep turn. So that was probably my one of my scariest moments. But to say, am I scared of flying? No. If you know, take care of all the risk management things that you can take care of, which means making sure the plane's airworthy, making sure you've taken care of anything that you can take care of on the plane if it's your plane. With a flight school, you know, making sure they're taking care of business where they're supposed to, so that the plane's airworthy. That's fine. Making sure, you know, fuel is a huge thing, because you hear about a lot of times fuel starvation when it comes to, you know, airplanes that went down. So, you know, making sure you at least have the proper amount of fuel to do whatever flight that you're doing, and following a lot of the checklists that are involved, and, you know, knowing the knowledge that you're supposed to know to acquire your pilot's license. And, you know, if you have your CFI with you, that's one thing, but having a good CFI always does help. But if you're following those things, airworthiness, fuel, checklists, and things like that, you know, less likely to have those incidents within, you know, general aviation, to where worrying about your plane going down. I mean, is that always a factor to think about? Yes, but you should always be thinking about emergency landing procedures, emergency operations, and things like that as you're flying. I mean, as I'm flying, I always think, okay, if I have to land a plane, where can I land a plane? And as you're going along, you should always be thinking about that, just in case, you know, a situation should arise. Because I tell you, I mean, so far at night, flying at night has been some of the most beautiful sights from up there. Just seeing the city lit up, seeing the city of Columbus. When I was flying the plane back from Kansas to Ohio, I mean, we flew through Indianapolis while it was getting dark. To see Indianapolis at night, we flew over Dayton while it was at night. To see just the city lights and everything like that while flying, I mean, it's just an amazing feat. Even for my night flight training, seeing the city lights, I mean, just amazing sights. So, you know, so far I'm having a lot of fun. Like I said, just trying to stay focused. And I really do hope that you have liked what you've heard so far, and that you want to subscribe and like this channel. There'll be plenty of videos. Now I say this, I promise they will get better, but like a lot of the videos that you are going to see coming up are going to be like a lot of my beginning flights. Didn't have decent cameras, didn't have decent setups. So now I'm in the process of getting decent setups and decent cameras. And you'll be able to tell as the videos get better, how, getting closer to up-to-date videos compared to, a lot of my older training and a lot of the older videos that I took. So please, bear with me in that aspect and join along with me for the ride on that, and I promise it'll get a lot better. Like I said, please enjoy the channel, like, subscribe, ring that bell so you can get notifications, because there's been a lot of people who have influenced me to kind of want to create this channel. I mean, like a few, like Mojo Grip Mike, SoCal Flying, Jermaine Bibb out of Kentucky. I mean, a lot of those guys, seeing them how they've done with their channel and things like that and their journeys and stuff, kind of made me want to, document my journey and, put it out there for everybody to see, ask me questions, see what I did, how I handled things. So, that's been a lot of my motivation for doing this as far as the documenting, my journey through video. So, like I said, please like, subscribe, tell your friends, share, please do all that. And like I said, hopefully you enjoy the channels. Like I said, bear with me on a lot of my older videos. They will get better. And I'll see you on my next flight.
Ground Cherokee 3480 Quebec at the T hangars, ready to taxi for a VFR departure to the east.